Welcome to the Claws Out podcast, live from the mic'd up studio here at Parramatta. After a bit of a dirty day, the West Tigers going down 52 points to 10 to the Sharks out at Shark Park. Gary, Steve and Rob have made their way here. I look a bit like the Tigers tonight, or maybe I look like the Sharks, black and blue, but I'm doing the tough carry. I see I'm doing two shows. You guys only the one show tonight after a 50-point loss. What's going on there?
I can speak on behalf of Steve and Gary, I'm sure, mate. We really appreciate you doing two shows back-to-back, given the conditions, given the circumstances of your eye. It just shows you're not a mechanic, mate.
I think it's an improvement.
Stick to hosting.
He didn't start the season till April, mate. He can do 4 shows back-to-back as far as I'm concerned.
I might be like the Tigers. I might be out for 6 or 8 weeks. But Rob and Steve and Gary, you've both been to functions. Start with you, Gary, out at the Orange Grove today, an ambush event. How'd it go?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Had Gary Jack out there once again. We've had him a couple of times already this season. What a legend he is. The stories he told today were outstanding. Spoke about all the controversial parts of his career today, including Mr. Ian Roberts, which was quite interesting.
The days before mobile phones, Steve, that would have been a great era to play. I'm not coming to you because you're old on the panel, but I don't know if the Orange Grove was around in the 80s, but I can imagine Gary Jack would have had some good times at places like that in the old Balmain Leagues Club.
Mate, he told a magnificent story about Peter Sterling and a mouth guard, and we can't do it now, but if anyone wants to hear about it, come up to me when we're at a venue sometime. But yeah, mate, it was, and he talked about that raw toughness, that those blokes have, but he has a great appreciation for the talents of the modern game too.
Rob, West Tigers Life, sponsored by the Summerhill Hotel. Not the result we wanted, but speak about the experience out there today.
It made the day better. I mean, that loss is awful, obviously, but I actually had a really good day. More importantly, everyone had a great day out at the Summerhill Hotel. A pity I couldn't be at the ambush event with the boys, and we're going to make sure that they don't clash ever again, but being the first event, we had to get started. So we can promise that the ambush and Summerhill Hotel won't ever clash again. Great time. We had about 30 or 40 people there. We took some nice photos. It was good early when we got a couple of tries. We had a little bit of a laugh later on in the game. What can you do? We were just at 30 to 10. We were like, don't get to 50, don't get to 50.
Was it live on YouTube? One of those watch-alongs? That's how I came to follow you, Rob, because I used to like the negative side of me going back on those losses and seeing your reaction. Were there any dummy spits by you today? Were you on the camera for some of those?
Yeah, look, what can you say about Tavana without having some sort of dummy spit? Literally was the weak link that kept giving Cronulla a leg up. But we had over 1,000 views, and
it's 1,200 now.
Is it 1,200? Yeah. So a lot of people have tuned in. They probably tuned in to see our reactions and whatever. I don't think I did the last 10 or 15 minutes. I went around and spoke to a few people that had done the right thing and taken the time out to come and speak to us. And great people, met some really wonderful people. Just even some Cronulla supporters were there. They had a little bit too much fun, which we won't begrudge them. But yeah, great day all around, and I'm glad you guys had a great day with Gary Jack. There's no one more legendary for me. He's probably one of my favourite players of all time.
Gary, your main takeaway from the game this afternoon, is it the injuries or is it the performance itself?
I said last week what I was really looking forward over the next 3 weeks was mentality and attitude, and that took a step back today. Up until today, I thought we're the most consistent team in the competition, and that went out the window today. We didn't play our style of football today.
Did you see that coming early, or you just thought it was a snowball effect in that second half, or did the first 15 or 20 minutes?
I saw it coming early. I don't think our line speed was anywhere near what we've seen before, and I put a lot of that down to Appy leads our line speed. But I said to Steve at half-time that I was still confident. I thought we could still win that game. I thought we were still in that game. But within minutes of that second half, I turned to Steve and said, this isn't going to be good. They're going to run through us. And I guess that's what we saw for the rest of the second half.
Main emotion for you, Steve?
I'm going to go with Benji and say let's look forward. So to me, I think it's really difficult to be up week in, week out in this competition. It is easy to get these blowout scores because the game is so fast. If you're off your game, if you fall apart in a game, it can blow out like it did today. So for me, the emotion is to look forward and see how we bounce back next week.
And every team so far this season has had that sort of game. So I think it was our turn this week.
Benji apparently was harsh in his press conference afterwards. Are you going to be harsh, or was it just almost inevitable when you turn over that much ball, given the way the rules are now, that you're going to cop that sort of hiding?
I'm not sure what Steve's thoughts are on the game 100%. I kind of know what Gary's are. I think we're going to go at loggerheads a little bit tonight. Our first half was fine. We had one player that let us down, and it's going to sound really harsh. They got all their points off his errors. He made not only 4 or 5 errors in the first half, mistakes that don't count as errors as well. And I thought everyone else had played reasonably well. I thought our line speed was good the first half. It did disappear in the second half. I was like Gary that at 18-10, we can definitely come back. We've got a strong win behind us. I stand corrected. I don't even think we had a tackle with the ball inside their 30, let alone the red zone in the second half. So we totally fell away. But they were running downhill by then. As soon as we showed Cronulla resistance early, they couldn't take it. But then we couldn't take it after a while. And obviously, Adam's injury disrupted things. We couldn't replace Hope with Latu because we'd used 4 players. What do you do with Savannah when he's playing like that? You throw Skelton on, you lose your forward rotation. I know it's an awful scoreline, 52-10. I'm not even counting that second half. It's not as bad as it looks. The injuries are worse.
Going into halftime, Rob, I was like you. My opinion was Cronulla dominated our field position the whole game. And I went into halftime thinking they've got that big wind behind them. It's that wind. But nothing changed in the second half. Our field position, I've never seen a side that has that wind advantage like we had in the second half not be able to get out of their own half. There was one point late in the game where we'd had 2 tackles in the opposition half. And I know there was a wind behind them in the first half, but they were dominating field position. Our side, one of their key indicators that our coaching staff is pushing is where the opposition team's taking their kicks.
Yeah, I agree with you with the second half. The second half is fine. The first half, all that field position you're talking about is us turning the ball over. Drop ball from bombs, turning the ball over. It's not from them going down from one end to the other. We went down their end easily. We made so many line breaks. I think if we don't have Tavana on the wing today, we're up by 12 at halftime.
Well, let's go there because you brought it up. Coach said before that he would stick with him next week, and you nearly had an epileptic fit when you came in here and I said that.
I can't believe he said that. I know.
But it's consistent with what he says with young players. Like he says with young players, they're going to have ups and downs. I think he predicted it a few weeks ago. He said Macassini and Luke are the flavour of the fans month because they made these mistakes. He says, you wait, it'll happen with Tavana. It happened today.
I'm not saying why it didn't happen today, and look, no matter what I say about Tavana, it's going to sound like I'm crucifying. The guy's 21. He's playing his 3rd game of rugby league. You cut the pod short, apparently, to 35 or 40 minutes. Of course, Adel's sick. I'm going to give him grace for if anyone would pick Tavana next week, any coach that picks him next week, they should be sacked. He goes to the bottom of the pile for wingers and he doesn't earn his right again, just like Luke had to wait for Skelton to stuff up, for, other people to disappear, and then he got his chance. He goes to the bottom of the pile. You can't.
It's not irreparable though, right? He goes to the bottom of the pile or he goes out. He goes out of first grade. Skelton made a ridiculous decision that someone who's played the number of games he has played shouldn't have made, and he got dropped. Now, this fella, Tavana's had a bad game. He's made multiple errors. Yeah, but it compounds, mate. It compounds. Like he makes one error, he makes a second error, and all of a sudden he's lost his confidence. I don't think if Benji's going to be talking about effort and standards that are going to be maintained in the team, you can't play him next week. You can't put him back into first grade and say, well, your standards were here, but we're going to give you another run. He's got to be dropped, but it's not irreparable. He's a good footballer. Like we've seen some exciting stuff from him, and he'll make it back. Macassini had a couple of horrible weeks.
But not the next few months. Sorry.
But you mentioned Skelton, and you mentioned that he had a poor game. The difference with Skelton, his poor game was decision-making. His poor game was throwing a stupid pass in the end goal. I'm more worried about a guy that's making poor decisions than a young guy playing his 3rd game of first grade who has dropped a bomb looking into the sun and not attacked another one, and then I think it got in his head and got the better of him. There was other errors that came after that, but I really think there was a lack of confidence after those first couple of errors, and he just couldn't come back from that.
But you can fix the decision-making. You can't fix the technical aspect. You can tell.
Of course you can fix technical.
You can tell Taylor May, when it's on the 5th tackle, don't push the dickhead over that incited you to push him over. Benji can stop him from doing that next week. You can't stop Tavana from dropping a bomb next week.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
100% you can improve people's skills.
Mate, you could have been on the wing today and done a better job. I'm serious.
100%.
It's just a shit game. Like Manu Vadavai did against Parramatta many years ago. I never thought I'd see a worse game than that. This was as equally as bad as I've ever seen in my life.
100% you can coach a guy to be a lot better under the high ball, a guy who's dropped a lot of balls. Well, they're techniques. Eddie coaches cricket.
And what about the tackle that he missed? That Toa missed straight after it as well. Like literally ran through 2 players.
It was a really bad tackle.
52 points come from the right side of the field today, Gary. Whether it's Tavana, whether it's Toa, whether it's Madden, whether it's whoever, nothing came from the left.
I'm not sitting here saying he played poorly. I'm not sitting here saying that he didn't play poorly. He had a terrible
He
game
had a
today.
shocking game. It's not he tried his hardest. He just had a shocking game.
I'm not
just
going
got to
to
call it as it is.
But I'm not going to sit here and say it's irredeemable. I'm not going to sit here and
Can't
say
play him next week.
No, I'm not playing him next week. I'll definitely be putting him in reserve grade, and he stays in reserve grade until he's shown he's worked on those areas of his game he needs to improve. But there are things in there that he adds to the side. He's very good in medias. He has been very good under a high ball up until this point. He's very good under attacking kicks. These are all positives that you want in your side. So you need to work on those negatives. You need to give him time to work on those negatives. You need to send him back to reserve grade to work on them. And then you see how he's going in 6 months' time.
But again, it just means he goes to the bottom of the ladder in terms of wingers, and other people have to stuff up for him to get his place back. That's my opinion.
Mention attacking kicks, Steve. There's a big difference, though, with defensive kicks. Like, we hadn't really seen him under defensive kicks, and going up that aggressively, if you get your timing slightly wrong, those balls can go down easily when you're going up so high like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about this during the game, actually. When you're in an attacking kick, if you don't take it,
You've got nothing to lose. You're not getting crucified.
That's right. If you catch it, everyone's on your side, right? But if you miss it, well, it's 50-50. That's the way it goes. But you're expected to catch the defensive. You
have to.
But it's not just him, right? It was him. He
Sorry.
had a shocking game, but it's not just him, Rob. It's not just him, right? The right edge is not all his fault in defence, right? Him dropping those balls. He needs blockers around him. He needs those systems to be working. The whole system broke down today, and I think there's a risk that we get over emotional. Hang on,
I'm not being emotional.
I think we get over emotional about it. The whole system broke down. Like we went back to 2025. Like we made error after error after error after error that we didn't defend. That's the Tigers of 25. Our mindset wasn't right. I don't agree that our line speed and our defence was good.
It was great in the first half. It wasn't good. It was great.
The first, I saw it in the first 10 minutes.
It was great.
Our line speed was terrible in the first 10 minutes.
Coach didn't
Rubbish.
think it was good.
Rubbish.
Coach
It
was
was terrible.
Mate, we should have been leading at half time.
No.
Second half was awful, but that was because they were playing downhill.
Benji Marshall said all year that we want to attack with our defence, that we want to punish guys.
I said it last week.
There was nothing in our defence. Now, I'm not having a crack at the players. This happens, right? What we've got to make sure it doesn't happen next week. But they dropped balls and then they missed tackles and they gave away points too easily, too softly, and there was no attack in their defence.
Second half,
nothing in it. All game.
No, but there's no aggression in our defence in the first half either. The big thing with how we've been playing this year is that line speed and that aggression in defence. The numbers we get into the tackle, the way we're able to stand a guy up in the tackle and then drive him backwards and create a slow play the ball. We weren't doing that in the first half today either. That's the difference in the style of football that we've played all season so far to what we put on the field today. And I thought when we were leading in that first half, I thought we were very lucky to be in that position we were in.
I thought 12 players were let down by one player on the field for the first 15 minutes. I've got you and I, the four of us don't have the benefit of a rewatch. I'm telling you now, we did nothing wrong. Okay, for example, Iro scores a try through Toa. He doesn't make that thing if Tavana doesn't drop the ball before it. Okay, now I know you should defend your errors and all that sort of shit. And look, we scored off a scrum from their error when Adam scored and got injured. So errors are part of the game. But I'm telling you now, if you have a different person on that wing, and it's easy after the game, okay, because we all said Tavana should be there given on what he did the first two games. But if you have a different person there, I actually think we're more than 12 ahead at halftime. I think we just didn't have any resistance today. We invited him into the quarter line. We said privately, Gary, Cronulla are going to have to run that shape from 40 metres out from their own line because they're not going to get in our quarter line. We invited them every time and bang, they scored. Whether it was off a kick to him, everything was directed at him. And good on Cronulla for exploiting him. But they didn't score anything down the left. They didn't do anything differently there. Okay, there was a try in the middle. They ran through Hope and Hunt. That was pretty good of them to identify Hope was standing on his own. But you got to call it out as is. He had a shocking game, but I'm not going to label the whole team as being poor for one bloke because they wouldn't have been shot physically and whatever if they hadn't had to do what they did in the first half.
A couple of points on that. That right edge was decimated today. So we lost Kai Pearce-Paul before the game. So we had Tony Suker defending out there as well. And then we lost Adam, who has been controlling that right side of the defence for us.
Correct.
And speaking very well in defence. So I'll give Tavana a little bit of a break there. But I also noticed once Royce Hunt came onto the field today, Cronulla went after him. And it's not just the try they scored between Hope and
him.
and Hunt. The couple of plays in that set leading up to it, they'll turn the ball back inside to go after him multiple times in a row.
Yeah.
They'll really testing his lateral defence in the lead up to that try. And then Brayley gets out of dummy half and they exposed. I think he was a bit late getting back into the defensive line leading up that try.
Yeah.
And Brayley just exposed him so well. Royce Hunt's name was on Cronulla's cheat sheet in big capital letters because they went after him.
Sione Fainu, he dropped the ball multiple times.
Second half.
Taking hit-ups. Yeah, but he still dropped the ball.
The game was over.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it was like I understand Tavana didn't play a good game. I get it, right? And I agree with you. But I'm not going to say he's the only bloke. Like that we did not turn up today.
Multiple blokes had poor second halves. Yeah. You both can't sit here with straight faces and say you thought we were a chance of winning at 18-10 down if we were playing well. If we're playing poorly in the first half, we're going to lose the game.
I thought we were a chance of winning the second half if we cut out the errors and turned our attitude around. I didn't sit there at halftime and say, well, based on that, we'll win the second half. I said, if we do X, Y, and Z, right, which is stop dropping the ball, attack them with our defence, right, and mark up in defence, if we do those things, then we can still win the game. And one of the things I did say to Gary, and he'll back me up.
I probably won't.
The first couple of minutes, well, you better. the first couple of minutes of the second half, I said to the group, I said, I've never seen a second half start the way a first half finished, as if the halftime break didn't occur. Like we finished poorly and we started poorly. It just continued. The rot just continued.
I'll have to do a rewatch. I'm not going to label. I get the second half. We had multiple poor players. I'm not labelling that first half. It's down to one player that first half. Just on
Tristan Hope, obviously coming in for Appy. He's never going to be Appy, but you did mention during the week that he shouldn't overplay his hand. There was one opportunity there in the first half where he went himself on the last tackle. What did you make of his game today?
First 10 or 15 minutes, I thought he was actually commented that he's doing his job well. He was keeping the defence honest by running a couple of times, and I think his first run made over 10 metres. He looked like he was stuck in the mud a bit when he tried to take off and accelerate a couple of times. He was making his tackles. You could see from the 30th minute he was getting a little bit tired. The problem was we've already had to substitute Adam. You don't know if Benji's going to put the hook on the other kid, but if he does that, then you've absolutely totally screwed your forward rotation. And you're only playing with two forwards, so someone's going to miss out, whether it's Seyfarth or Sione. But the second half, he looked so poor in defence. But to be fair to him, and it's not going to help much, I think if we didn't have the ball at all as a team, and Appy was there, it makes not much difference. We had no ball. Like everyone looked poor in the second half. There was no line speed. They were tired. Like that intercept we threw to Hines. That's when I thought they're actually going to get 50. I thought we might be a chance of keeping them to 42 or 48. But you just knew that every time they got the ball, they were coming from the kickoff down to our end. Like you can't take that second half into
I'm not even
account.
really talking about the second half, though, just his first half performance, because I know the second half had just snowballed.
He's never going to be happy. No, he doesn't lead the line speed. He's Tristan Hope. He's not Happy Coruscant.
I'll tell you where I reckon we missed him today, missed Appy. And this is not a criticism on Tristan Hope because you can't expect him to do this. But the way Appy gets out of dummy half and catches the markers not square and gets the 6 again or gets a penalty, or the way he gets around a lazy marker and brings his forwards onto the ball in behind that ruck, that happens early in a set or mid-set, right? And you get 2 or 3 plays after that we build momentum off. And Tristan Hope does not have that ability. And
I agree.
I'm not knocking him.
No, I know you're not. But I just want to say to you, I don't want this to sound, because it is sounding like criticism of Tavana. I'm defending Tristan Hope.
Tavana wasn't playing hooker.
I'm defending Tristan Hope. What would the score have been at halftime, given Hope's performance, if Tavana doesn't do what he does?
I still thought the first couple of sets, though, before there was any error or any involvement by Tavana, they won the battle. It was only 2 sets.
You can't put Hope and Tavana on the same level in terms of performance today. Sorry.
You're saying the Sharks won the battle?
Yeah, the first 2 sets of the day, I thought, I'm a bit worried here. They stopped us. We only went 25 metres and they went 50.
Yeah, and it didn't change. It didn't change from that moment. We were kicking from our 40 every single set.
And part of that was the wind that they had behind them, but they were still able to too easily roll through the middle.
No, the wind stops you from putting a kick into the corner. The wind doesn't stop your forwards from getting to the 50-metre line.
But it does determine your starting field position.
Yes.
So Cronulla's starting field position was they were catching the ball on the 20 on the full. And that was a problem for us today because it gave their sets too good of a start. But where Appy was missing is what Steve was saying. His ability to get our middle forwards one-on-one with defenders, or at least two-on-one with defenders, is elite. Today, our middles were getting gang tackled.
But even with the hit-ups, I will say one criticism. Normally, Appy's giving the ball on the advantage line, so the forwards are getting them going forward. It felt a little bit mini-mod, passing back diagonally on a 45-degree angle, then to the next person, and by the time they catch it and run 5 metres, they're back to where you actually played the ball in line with the play the ball.
And you'll actually see in that second half, I think we tried to adjust for that. There was a number of sets where Madden got into first receiver and had the middle forwards running off him. So I think there was an attempt for an adjustment at that, but it was too late, didn't work.
Injuries can derail a season, Steve, and we knew we were up against it coming into the game, but to get Adam go off and then Samuela late in the game, like if they're out for a couple of months, that's a hammer blow.
Yeah, like you can make an argument with Alex Toll, but losing Adam Dewey and Samuela, that's like two of our best players for the last month, if not the whole season. We're now looking at having 3/4 of our spine out for the next 2 or 3 games. Our edge attack, well KPP will come back, I suppose, but our edge attack on the left, vulnerable. Yeah, it's going to be a tough few weeks now.
Can you imagine the first half Adam would have had the way it started and what Taylor did for his try and what he did for his own? Like, that was the most basic scrum shape we ran from the scrum. And you see Talakai overcommit. And then the second try with Taylor and May, you see, who's the second rower? Nakora. He overcommits. Like, they were cannon fodder at Cronulla. They were there for the taking today. It's just a shame that we didn't have our full troops, but even without the full troops, I just think if we had a winger that played a 6 out of 10 game, we probably win the game.
That Sam Fainu injury, that's going to be really costly. I wouldn't swap him for any other second rower in the competition at the moment. That line he ran for the Taylor May try was an outstanding line. His ability to draw the fullback and put his centre away was just outstanding. I thought once we weren't winning that middle of the field, which did happen in the first half, Rob, I really do think we needed to go to those edges a little bit more and use a guy like Sam to actually get us down the field because he has that ability.
We tried to a couple of times,
yeah, we did.
And we actually had some success. Yeah. And then we sort of went away from it, or they turned us back inside, I think.
Was there a lack of discipline at times out there, Rob? I know you're turning the ball over in our own half doesn't help, but we gave away a penalty for dissent, and then we gave away a penalty on the last tackle where Taylor May sort of got baited by their guy playing the ball.
Yeah, Trindle, I think it was. And then also there was the ill discipline of Taylor offloading a ball that Nico Hines caught in our own red zone. It was just like, they actually just wanted to make me look bad, Eddie. I'm actually disappointed with the team because they wanted me to look bad. I said Cronulla can beat us, but the West Tigers won't beat themselves. And what did we do? We freaking beat ourselves. Can't catch a bomb, can't do a run-up, offload to someone else. We gave them so many sets in that area. I actually think we got down the other end really easily. That's why I disagree with the boys. And then when we did, we scored. And except for the time Hope ran from dummy half. I didn't think it was as bad as it looked.
The ill discipline was bad. It reminded me of last year. Who was it who was the dissent? Does anyone know?
Not sure because it was on the run.
The one on the 39th minute, the one just before half-time, or the one, and then the second half, that was definitely
first half one.
Yeah, well, that was crazy too because they're not going anywhere with a minute left in the half. And then they kick the ball for touch and they got a set, of 6 tackles on the halfway line with 40 seconds left.
But it wasn't just that sort of ill discipline. You touched on it. The Taylor May offload, the Sione Fainu who just passed it into someone who's standing behind him.
Yeah.
That sort of really poor discipline at crucial times in the match. And I know the Sione one was probably a bit later in the match when we're trying to get back into it. But we've got to be better than that. I know we're a side that offloads a lot. I know that we're leading the comp in offloads, but we've got to be smarter around it, and you just can't pass it willy-nilly. There's got to be some sign of decision-making.
Would have been a different game today if a guy called Dareem Buller was at fullback and a guy called Sania Taruva was on the right wing.
So whose fault was that?
Dream Bullers.
But we knew that coming into the today, Rob.
Hey, I'm going to sound like Royce Hunt on the Tiger Kids podcast, keep saying Tavana. But you look at the difference in the right wingers compared to what Taruva's done the last 2 weeks and what this poor kid did today.
You know what today showed us, and it's a bit of a worry, but it's the next step in our progression, right? We know we go to Penrith, right, and we say they got the next man up mentality, right? And no matter who is out of that team, the next bloke who steps up, he's not Nathan Clear, he's not Isaiah Yobe, he does a job, right? What we found out today, unfortunately, was that we have an outstanding, very competitive first 17, 19, 20 players, right?
Yep.
But then when you just scratch below the surface, we're still struggling, and there's still recruitment that needs to happen and development that needs to happen for us to get to that next level to be true contenders for the title.
I'm more worried about the 2 injuries today than the 52-10. That could be fixed in 5 minutes, but you got to weaken one position for to fix Taruva's problem. That becomes an issue. The forwards have been great all year, so I've got no issue from that point of view. But again, like I'm trying to work out who the team is going to be next week, and it actually doesn't look that bad.
Who goes left edge?
What's your team, Rob?
Who's in for Sam Miller?
If it's me, I'm putting Tony Suka left edge because that's where he's been playing in Cup. So I'm putting him there. I'm putting Kai Pearce-Paul on the right. Still going to have Jock, I guess, Jock didn't play great today, but
terrible.
Jock's defence was, even just how he set the right edge was poor, but let's give him some defence. He's normally been playing on the left edge because Adam's been there. Well, he hasn't been defending on the right edge previously.
And it's very different preparing for a game when you know you're playing all week than coming on in that injury situation, but that's also what he's been employed to do.
And what do you do with Starfatoa? Like, he was so poor defensively today. Do you bring Herbert, who, when he makes tackles, is really good, or you take the risk also with Herbert that he's going to be going for 2 or 3 intercepts a game?
I think Stafford wasn't trusting his outside man as well. Not that I want to come back to that.
Have I mentioned Tavana today? No, because I'm crucifying the kid, but I'm going to call it as it is. He cost us any chance of winning the game, and he's responsible for the massive scoreline. Okay, and everyone fell apart in the second half. A whole bunch of people joined. You know what? I'm going to give Adam Dewey 1 point today when we do our 3-2-1s. That's how shit we played.
I can't get to
we missed Adam Dewey.
This is the first week it's a struggle to pick 3-2-1s. We've normally got 7 or 8 players we're choosing.
You know where we missed Adam Dewey? Right, like his attacks. We missed his defence, man. Yeah. His defence on the right edge. We've missed that so much today.
Never thought I'd ever say that. And I'm not talking this year, but in previous years, I never thought I'd be sitting here saying Adam Dewey being out caused that right-hand defence.
And can you imagine Luai and Dewey on the same side of the ruck today, the way they were defending in the first half, Cronulla? Every time we took a shot at them, we were making a break. They were so vulnerable today, and I don't know what you guys have said, but I'm telling you now, Cronulla, they're just a downhill team. We saw it against the Roosters in Perth. They're up 18-0, and as soon as the Roosters showed resistance, they fell to shit. Okay, we're a good team. We really are. Today we're allowed to have a poor performance as a group, but I honestly feel like it just got let down and the second half didn't matter. I'm not going back there again. Okay, I'll spell it backwards if you want.
I mean, it's hard to analyse all individual games today because that second half was just a procession and we didn't have any ball. But the attack early in that first half, I thought that the 2 tries we put on were great. That second try, especially where they went 65 metres and Samuela went through the gap from Luai, put Taylor May away.
Yeah, and those early tries are all about, again, coming in and going into the defensive line straighten up, given space. Yeah, we started off all right, but we just couldn't hold. We just lost. When we lose Dewey, right? We lose Dewey. Madden didn't have that preparation. Luai was hot and cold, didn't get much opportunity really. We just didn't have the ball. We can't talk about our attack at all. Really, because you can't attack when you've defended, 2/3 of the game. Like 2/3 to 1/3 was the defence. You're not going to have any gas for attack.
The team does its job. It defends 5 tackles. They put a kick and you lose it. That's what was going on in the first half. We do our job, and then on the last tackle, the team. Let's call it the team. The team makes a mistake.
I thought Jerome was looking really sharp.
Every time the team makes a mistake off a kick.
Jerome's game.
Jerome defensively was good. He didn't do
20.
anything special, but he was good. He did what he had to do, and I think Luai probably solves the argument of anyone that said, what's the difference between having Luai and Madden there? No, he shored up that left side. That left side was fine. Nothing went down their end. But to be fair, maybe nothing went down their end because they knew the other side was as weak as piss.
No, they went there a couple of times, but Taylor May out on that left edge, he shut it down a number of times and hit hard in defence. So.
But even one time they nearly got us in the second half. The game was gone by then, but Luke did a really good job of jockeying and not overcommitting. And I think they lost the ball behind him, and the guy at the winger juggled it.
I still think, I know you're going to disagree, but I still think we've got to, like this week's training, they've got to focus on the ruck and getting out of the ruck, because the difference in not having Apping, we haven't got him for another 2 weeks. Our forward pack had no momentum, had no penetration whatsoever. And I put some of that, like as the game wore on, it was because of the lack of ball. But early on, we still didn't have that penetration, and we don't have Appy there. He's not going to be there for 2 weeks. So how do we solve that problem? Maybe if Dewey hadn't got injured, then Tristan Hope wouldn't have played 80 minutes and Latu would have came on.
That's definitely the answer, Steve. You've answered your own question. If Dewey doesn't get injured, Latu's on after 25, 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, and he plays a big stint. And if he's going well, he stays on for the rest of the game. And if he's looking fatigued at the back end, Tristan Hope would have come back for the last 15. So that Adam injury was huge because it affected our whole rotation.
The hardest thing for me over the next 2 weeks is I think the two positions we're skinniest in is hooker and it's second row. And they're the areas we have injuries. Like Kai Pearce-Paul, hopefully he clears all his protocols this week and is back. But it's not impossible we could be down the two of them and our hooker, and they're the two positions I think.
I said it Tuesday. We can replace forwards, like as great as Alex Twoll's going, as great as Terrell May's going.
Middle forwards.
You can get a middle forward to do 70, 80% of the job. You can't replace Buller. You can't replace the 2 second rowers. And now we actually have to worry about that second rower getting injured late. And you can't replace Appy. Appy's the glue of the whole thing.
I thought there was, even in the and I thought Taruva at fullback did an admirable job under the high ball, but there were opportunities when we went right in that first half where maybe if we had Jareem, they looked vulnerable there.
They did, but to Taruva's credit, he looked like he got through the line a couple of times, but he's
just no ball playing.
He's not a ball player. Yeah. He finds it hard to pass.
He's a different style of footballer. He's playing at fullback. He can play a fullback role, but he's a runner of the ball. He is not a passer of the ball. And if I was using him, I'm using him a lot more around the middle of the field and running off your forwards around those guys who like to offload. I'm using him in that situation rather than chiming into our back line. Because when he chimes into the back line, and it's just the style of footballer he is, he's coming from being a winger, and a lot of wingers don't do a lot of passing. He just does not have those passing skills when he chimes into the back line. I'll be using him around the middle of the field a lot more.
And we missed him not having that first or second carry.
100%.
You know, like he makes those quick meters, and then he gets another 5 post contacts.
What about, let's go, I thought Tony Suka had a few strong runs in that first half. I know I'm slim pickings here, but like in that first half when you said one man cost us, I thought Suka was okay.
It looks okay, but again, when I see 52 points, I want to reserve judgment on that. To the eye, I don't think Tony did much wrong. The fact that 52 points came down that right side, and forget the kicking stuff. What's that, 30-something maybe came out of actual ball playing and running through people. I'd have to watch that again to see what he was like defensively. But yeah, with the ball, he didn't make mistakes. He didn't do anything super obvious, but I don't know. When you see that many points, there's decision-making from either Jock, Tony, Star, Tino. There's something going on there. That was horrific.
Sione had an unhappy day with his hands.
Probably the worst game I've seen him play. I was quite disappointed. And I was talking about decisions earlier. It was decisions. It was throwing passes he shouldn't be throwing. And he came on really early. He actually came on before Royce. I don't know. Can't remember if he has been doing that, but yeah, it was a poor day for him.
Were you guys shocked by Safehalf coming on?
What other choice would they have?
Well, they've got Latu there.
Yeah,
I suppose Jock had already come on early for Adam's injury.
So. Again, it's like the horse is bolted by then, so there's no blaming of him at all in any way. But he may as well. He looked like he'd played 60 minutes before he came on. So he was awful.
Benji, in his press conference, spoke about being disappointed in effort and resilience, and all the raps that the club has on Safehalf is his effort and his resilience. So I can only guess that they've probably brought him in to shore that up a little bit, to inject a little bit of effort, a guy who always puts in. So I kind of get it in that regard.
I thought it was a weird decision, Steve. What did you think?
Oh no! I thought we'd lost the middle so poorly. So I suppose if you're going to make a difference, you're going to make it in the middle. So I thought he was the logical choice. I agree with what Gary said. He's he's very well respected for his effort. His effort areas, and so that's what Benji wanted injected into the game. So that's why he came on.
And when Benji always talks about the leaders of the club,
you just beat me to it. Yeah.
Safehalf is always.
He was the last name mentioned the other day, wasn't
100%. Every time Benji talks about leadership group, leaders. Safehalf gets a mention. So I can see why Benji would have went there in the way the game was going.
I don't want to put you more on tilt, but Coach did say next week he'd put KPP back on the right where he's been all year, and he'd start with Safehalf on the left. I think that was to do with maybe Tony Suka's defence, and we haven't had the benefit of looking at a replay or anything like that. And that second half I'd sort of tuned out a little bit. But
why?
I think because he said Seyfarth spent a fair bit of time on the left in his career.
In his career, yeah. But he
Yeah.
also spent time on the right where KPP was. But at least with Seyfarth on the bench, he can fill second row. He can fill the middle. So you got the option there. I'd start Tony on the left edge. I think it's a no-brainer.
Any other notable mentions out of the game? I thought Taylor May had his moments. He was strong.
Yeah, Taylor May makes good decisions. Usually, again, I'm only seen the game once, but he was good. Alex Toll was on 62 tackles. Like he missed 3. Like Alex Toll never misses a tackle. Missed 3, but out of 62, that's not bad. So he went pretty hard. Apart from that, not really.
Hard to do a 3-2-1 today. Have you got anything for me?
I thought the Sam Fainu until he went off was great. Alex Toll I would have in there as well, but it gets fairly slim pickings after there. Probably Taylor May. And I did think Adam was only on for a few minutes, but he scored a nice try.
Like a Tiger moment. Let's do it, Rob. It could just be that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. It doesn't have to be something from the game. Or was there something in the game that you saw that you liked? Because we do generally do it at the start of the show, but it's gone a little bit off.
Well, I want some
off track
verification first from all my buddies here. Have I not bagged the crap out of Luke Lauliti in the past?
You
Very
have.
heavily. Very heavily, just
Yeah.
like I'm giving it to Devana tonight.
What is it? He
doesn't like wingers.
Got something about wingers, mate.
I'm asking you, have I bagged him or not?
Yes.
Yes, I have. Okay, we get there. Luke Lauliti's chase on, I think it was Nico Hines when he took the intercept, when he was never going to get there, and he ran at full pelt, probably didn't get within 3 or 4 metres of him. That just shows what sort of game he had today, and massive respect for that effort, even though he was never going to get there. That's a standard that, maybe I'm sure the coach will probably say, well, you know what, the game was over. He could have pulled a hammy or something, and he chased all the way, even though it was a futile chase. So that was my like a Tiger moment.
My like a Tiger moment was the press conference, because I think Benji led by example, and he said, you know what, I'm worried about the effort areas, and I'm also worried about our preparation, and I've got to look at myself because I'm the one who prepared the team. He said, so we needed some deep reflection on the way we prepared for this game, and I thought that's good. Like he was calm, he was strong, and he took ownership. And
Did it go for long? Because I haven't heard it yet.
6 minutes.
Okay, I'll give it a listen.
I was really impressed with Benji in that press conference. It's a very different coach to what we saw 2 years ago. Even last year, we saw a coach go in there and say, I'm really happy with the boys. We just don't know what sort of football team or what our style of football is.
Harder on them.
Today, that was not up to our standards. That was not good enough. We need to be better than that. All that really strong language delivered in the way he's been delivering his press conferences this year. A very stern, authoritarian sort of manner. I thought he was outstanding in that press conference, and it gave me a lot of confidence moving forward that we're going to take ownership, and I was very impressed with that. So I'm going to steal Steve's, and I'm going to agree with Steve for my like a Tiger moment.
I'm going to cut the team some slack, Eddie. One thing we're not realising with the errors in the second half and how we push passes and whatever, we hadn't been down by more than 10 points, I think, all year. Okay, all year whatsoever. So maybe the team didn't understand what they needed to do to get back into the game. And again, that's where you miss someone like Appy. I know we've got the leadership of Luai there, but Luai is standing on the left edge. You need someone controlling that ruck that can just say, all right, boys, let's get back into it and do it slowly. And we're not used to being down by 8, 14, 20, etc. So maybe some of that expansive stuff will be better for that, because we haven't been in that position all year, boys.
Rob, it wasn't just Appy. Who are our leaders of our team?
Oh, there's plenty. There's Twal, there's Adam, there's Luai. Yeah.
So they all weren't there. Jerome was kind of left there by himself. And we've seen in the past, Appy, when he was the first one to come across, how difficult it was to drive those standards.
Even when he's playing well.
Yeah.
It's just disappointing, because I know, look at that scoreline and you think, Rob Bashara's on freaking drugs.
Cronulla were poor.
That's still a winnable game today.
Mate,
it really was. That game doesn't turn out like that if we sort the first half out.
We had 2 tries, and we hadn't been tackled in their 20.
Yeah.
Right. So we got across their line so easily early in that game. Yeah, they were there for the taking.
Have we had a half of football where we haven't been in the other team's red zone? That's how poor the second half was. And we had the wind with us. Like, we didn't really utilise the wind.
Doesn't matter if you got the wind if you drop balls on tackle 2 or 3.
Well, that's where you got to just maybe kick early on a 3rd or 4th tackle, look for a 40-20, try and do something different.
The halves combination long term, I mean, Jock did such a good job those 3 games he started with Adam. We haven't seen Jock and Luai combination. I imagine it will be that, although you've got Latu still there in the background. How does it play out if Adam is out for 4 to 6 weeks with a dislocated shoulder?
I think next week it's 100% it's Jock and Luai. It didn't appear to work real well today, but that's also hard to judge because that second half, they didn't get an opportunity really with the ball at all. And Madden did have his moments as well. He had that run at the end of the second half where he put a nice step on and went through. Really should have made a better decision about what to do with that ball in that situation. So even his good moment was kind of followed up by a poor moment today. So I'd like to see them kind of get the week this week, sort out how exactly they're going to play, what sort of style of football they're going to play, who's going to take responsibility of what, and we'll see what they put out there next week. But today wasn't a good start.
I actually thought we did see enough early in that game. They were both digging in and straightening the line, and they were looking good, and they were getting good ball to their outside men. Once the possession just was a mountain for Cronulla. There's no way you can judge our attack because we're coming off fatigue every set of 6. So I actually think what we saw early, if in a game where we get 50% possession, I think they'll do all right. And I think Latu coming on and I don't know, he's going to have to play dummy half. I'd much rather see him come on at 13 and have that be that extra sort of first receiver. But
I think the highlight for Latu, for Luai and Madden today was that Taylor May try where Sam went through the gap. That was Madden digging into the line and then getting the ball out to Luai, who was able to put a nice ball onto Sam Fainu. That's a pretty good style of football from us and the style of football I like to see us play. So there is hope there around that combination working.
I think I know some of your changes for next week, but on that halves combination, because like Latu, I've never, and this is not disrespecting him at all, but I've never heard a guy like you wrap him so much and everyone seems to wrap him, but when's it his time? If he's that good, why doesn't he play?
He hit the nail on the head. Latu's got to play some hooker next week with hope. Otherwise, I would play him at half. But you can't have him do both. You can't start at half and move him to hooker. You got to go with Jock and Luai. That's the only way you can go. Put it this way, if Appy was playing 9 next week, I'd go with Latu.
And it's hard because Latu's going to have to play some hooker, but I don't think he's a great hooker either. I don't go into next week with confidence that Latu's going to be the guy who change our fortunes around because he's going to be playing hooker.
And Jock did some good things in attack today
he
too.
Did
he ran past your mate Brayley that you were waxing on today. He might have been better off putting a kick ahead.
Only set up about 5 tries for them. Didn't rate his performance today.
You could have set up 3 tries with a black eye. Trust me.
Well, one thing Junior spoke about earlier in the week was his ability to get out of dummy half and that deception he kind of has when he does that. He showed that today.
But when did he get out of dummy half? When our markers weren't doing nothing or falling over? Poor Hope was buggered. He was trying to run back and he was gone at marker.
He was
every
doing
time
it in the first half as well. He was causing us trouble in that first half as well. Whenever they're in their 20, his ability to take a couple of steps and sideways steps, he's a little bit different. He doesn't go forward when he engages. He goes sideways. And Cronulla looked very good playing off him when he got out of dummy half.
If Latrell doesn't play Origin, 3-0 Queensland. It's just...
You know what I think made him look a little better too, because I agree. He like that couple of steps and then passing out. Our line speed wasn't there. No one was coming
marker
from
defence
the
wasn't there.
No marker defence. There was whole game. No one was. No
seemed
one
to be there for the first 5 tackles in the first half, and then we drop a ball. But anyway,
if he takes a couple of steps out of dummy half, there should be someone from first man out or second man out screaming in and just crunching him. Right, that didn't happen.
You know who I blame for today? I blame Junior.
I blame Junior.
What an idiot going out to that ground today, taking his poor kid out there for her first game.
Apparently last game ever too, by the way.
The worst stadium in Australia.
Yeah.
And bad things happen out there.
No, he had a great time out there.
How could you have a great time out there?
He sat next to a
family. Sat on a windy hill,
he
probably got beer tipped on him by those lunatic sharks.
No. I think he had actually proper seats. He was sitting next to a Sharks family, mother and father, tiger and shark, 2 kids, shark, tiger. And then I think the father came. He said his name was Dean. He said to give him a shout out. Dean actually recognised Rob and watches our podcasts all the time. So thanks for watching, Dean. Rob's disappointed, but he sees it a lot like me. He just realised like we should have been up to our necks in that game in the first half and probably would have had a lead. And it just felt like, one of us was playing right wing.
So one more positive. One more positive we haven't mentioned. Gary mentioned the try. That line that Samuela ran was just brilliant. That was the pass was good, but the line was better.
No, the line made it.
Yeah.
You want us to go for another 10 or 15 minutes, even though if we don't talk about the game, we talk about some re-signings. I don't know.
We can do that, yeah, of course.
But does it change your expectation for the season? Because injuries have to. Because you guys have been talking up top 4 and we've been the most consistent side in the comp, but if you got Samuela and Adam Dewey out for 6 or 8 weeks, and you've got Appy and Buller out for the next 2 or 3 weeks, we could easily go down to 5-5 or 5-6, and then you're in a dogfight just to make the 8.
From the Summer Hill Hotel to about Strathfield, I was so Eddie Otto. It was just doom and gloom, and are we going to make? We might even miss the top 17. That's how badly I felt. I was feeling very much like you, but I thought to myself, okay, well, let's just see how long Samuela's out for. Let's see, is it an AC joint with Adam?
It's a dislocation, so the shoulder came
that's
out.
a minimum 6 weeks, surely. So
we've had 2 already this year, and they've both been 4. So
Jareem's week to week, and we don't know how that's going to go. Just like Taylor's week to week. To be fair, he's an ongoing issue. There's a lot of injuries, but I think my reality is we're going to I don't want to heap doom and gloom, because I really think we're one of the best 4 teams when we've got most of our troops on the field. But the reality is we're going to come back at probably 5-5 or 5-6 when we get a few of these blokes back. But that's all right. We're still in the hunt, and we can still make a run for the 8. We can still make a run for the top 4. But, Benji, this is going to be Benji's toughest test, just what he does next week and how the boys recover. But I'm writing off that second half to the fact that they didn't know how to play from that far behind, because they didn't know how to do it all year. They didn't have a general in the middle. I actually think Latu could do a good job from dummy half. He's got a lot of class, and he makes the defenders engage. He's a little bit different to what
he'll keep the markers honest.
Yeah, Hope's pretty ABC. So I'd like to see Latu get a bit of game time next week, and he's too classy a player to not get a run. It's not all. Look, we can definitely beat Melbourne because they've lost 7 in a row now. But
that just means they're one closer to winning.
They'll start short price favourite.
They will.
I'm just being honest, based on who we're going to put on the field. We're going to be a rank underdog next week.
And don't forget, they're going to be playing for the first home game since Craig Bellamy's been diagnosed with his illness. Poor bugger. So they're going to be up really hard, and it's going to be a feel-good NRL story.
You'd sign up for it straight away. I know you say we can win every game, which is possible, but if you split the next 2 games and went into that bye 6-4, you'd sign up for it in a heartbeat with the injuries we got.
I'd take one out of the next 2 where we're sitting right now after today. But what's important for me is how we bounce back next week. That's a loss is okay. A loss like today is a little bit harder to deal with than a close loss. But a loss is okay. It's about how you respond to that.
Is there any way we can fast track Hayward into the squad or not?
I don't. He's
not even playing reserve grade. He's playing flag, and he's still playing age football.
Are you talking about the rules around that, or just?
Yeah, because I'd love to start with Latu at hooker and let the kid come on for 20 minutes and take some heat off Latu.
For me, he hasn't played enough football around with against adults so far. He's still playing flag. He's still playing aged football. Now, he had a couple of games in the trials playing against adults.
with half a Roosters pack that had your Siwa Wongs and the Butcher brothers, and
he did well. I actually
scored a try.
I actually met his family last week, and they're a very good family. Had a really good chat to them. I don't think they see it. I don't think the club sees it as a possibility that he'll be playing anytime soon in the next couple of weeks. So I think we've got to wait a little bit, and I would like to see him get a decent run in reserve grade before we say take him from flag and put him in the first
Because what's
grade.
really important to me is, and I know he's not going to be back next week, but if we got Buller back next week and Taruva on the right wing, I would still be concerned because we don't have Appy. I'm realising now, I've always realised how important Appy is. But if I could have one player back out of the guys we're missing today, it'd be Appy 1, it'd probably be Adam 2, and then it'd be Buller 3.
The really interesting thing that today has shown, and the start of this season has definitely shown, is there was a lot of talk around when we re-signed Appy and let Talon De Silva go. We made 100% the right decision on that. We need Appy Coruscant this year, next year, the year after.
Did we make the right decision not having an experienced backup or a quality backup?
I would like
That's
different
the
backup.
difference, yeah. I think
now, that may have not been Talon De Silva. If Talon wanted to go elsewhere because he thought Appy was blocking his path, I can completely understand that, but I think we needed a better backup than Hope.
We're definitely short. We're definitely one short. The young fella's not ready. What's his name?
Haywood.
He's not ready yet. You know, we'll get into this on Tuesday, right? But you know what we've got to do next week is we just got to start strong. Like you say, 7 losses, they're closer to a win. Not if you go out and smash them in the first 20 minutes, right? You go and put all that doubt in their head again. They've been playing terrible football. You know, we really hit them with what we've been doing this year at the beginning of that game, and we can win that game.
Well,
even without Appy.
I was just going to say, that's the reason I think I know he's not there and I'm talking hypotheticals, but if Appy's there next week, I think we can win. So we're not far away from winning. We're only a piece or two from – it's not totally doom and gloom.
What we need to find this week is someone who's responsible for driving our line speed in defence. I think that's really important. So we actually get out there and from that very first set, we go after them. Because we've got a forward pack that has dominated every forward pack bar the Cronulla Sharks this year.
Second half.
And first half. But we've got a forward pack that can go there and they can put the fear of God into the Melbourne Storm side, especially the position they're in. But we've got to do that from the opening kickoff. We've got to do that from the start of the game. We can't. Our completion rates need to be better than what they were today. Our biggest problem today was completion rates. They were dreadful. And the style of football we play, you're not going to win games unless your completion rates are high.
Let's spend the last 5 or 10 minutes talking about the week leading up to the game because you weren't on during the week when Jerome announced he was going to PNG. You can save your talk about PNG for the next podcast because I know you spent a number of years living there and got some things to say about that. But your initial reaction to Jerome signing there?
Look, my initial, you can't blame him. You can't like the money that's on offer for him. He sets his family up for life. I don't think it's such a bad thing for the West Tigers. Like he's here for another 18 months. He's had more impact as changing our culture than he has in the 80 minutes on the football field.
Which is just as important from where we were.
I think we can cover him. I think we can recover from losing him on the football field. I think we've got good players coming through, Latu being one of them. So he's going to be 31. So I don't think it's such a bad thing. I heard someone in the press say it's a win-win all round, and I tend to agree with that. So I wasn't surprised because I don't see how anyone could knock back that sort of money.
It's only a win-win all round though if we re-sign, which we have, like 3 key re-signings, and I was worried not having Richo, and that's no offence to Sean. I don't know Sean, but I think it's a great week for Sean, getting those 2 May brothers and Buller locked down.
Yeah, we were speaking about, Gary and I were speaking about that through the week, right? We both know Sean Milcamp quite well, and he's a great bloke, and he's got a great resume, and he's done the job. And I said to Gary, well, this is
an acid test.
This is going to test him because I reckon Richo will get this over the line for us. Will Sean be able to do that? And he's done it. Yeah, well, like it's not official yet with Buller, but from what we know, we've got both Mays and the possibility of a third May because that's sort of sitting in the background there. And Buller signed up, so next one's got to be got to get the Fainu brothers on long terms.
What I think without Jerome taking up that deal in Papua New Guinea, I don't know that we get the deals we got done last week over the line, especially not this soon. I think there was a crunch around numbers. I think probably the hardest thing with Buller is I was getting that price right for him. And with Jerome deciding to take up an option elsewhere, I think that just freed up us to spend a little bit more money. And I think we've paid them very well.
Slightly over, as you're saying, because I reckon the managers, they're pretty smart. They'd be going, this is a really good opportunity with Jerome gone. Tigers need some good news. Let's get in now.
I think the contract values that have been talked about at the higher end of what the players are worth, but
better to have them on overs than not at all.
Correct, and I think we needed this week after Jerome leaving, we needed a positive news story.
Yeah, but it's bigger than that, right? I reckon all our CEOs, all clubs are absolutely crapping themselves now about PNG because they can come in with big money, better money than any club can offer and steal whoever they want. And so I think this was a reaction to that. It hasn't happened in a week. Obviously talks have been going on, but they've nailed it down. And I think you're going to see a lot of clubs trying to nail it down.
And I think the reason we were able to get it over the line so quick, both those, the 3 deals it sounds like we've got done in the last week, was the conversations had already started. The conversation has been ongoing for months with all those players, but we were able to go back to them this week because of the decision that Jerome made with an offer that was closer to what they wanted. And I think that's why those deals went from kind of been stuck in the mud a little bit to being done within days of that decision happening.
I think you had mixed emotions on Tuesday because the news had just broken. There's a little bit of fear there from me and Junior in particular about the butterfly effect. Are you a little bit calmer now, the 3 re-signings?
Much calmer about the Mays because I think Terrell should have been done months ago. And even if we have locked up May now, whatever we locked him up for, we might have been able to lock him up a lot cheaper, given that the bargaining tool that they have now with that PNG fear and all the tax-free money and what have you. The Buller thing, I'm agreeing with the boys. Brent Reid kept reporting that the Jareem Buller money was way out to what they wanted. Once we knew Luai's gone and they know they've got that extra money, as Gary's just pointed out, then that probably made it easy to get that over the line. Happy face perspective, now we've got Buller, we've already got AD and Twal, we've got the May brothers, and this is really going to help keep Latu Fainu, who you mentioned, because he's on $500,000 a year. And I said maybe a few weeks ago on the pod, if we're going to keep all these halves, or I'm not going to sit in the background forever playing 20 minutes off the bench. I want to get.
But
my
if he's
shot
on
at,
500 a year, he has to be the main man by 2028, or one of the
he
two
will,
main
he
men
will,
in the halves.
He will be. And look, Josh is playing his ass off. But we saw some frailties today, particularly in defence on the right edge. You don't get that from Latu. Latu's a very strong defender, and he's a really classy ball player as well. And he's got a strong kicking game. We disagree about that as well too, but I think he's got a decent boot on him.
You know what we learnt this week also? The glue to this club is Benji Marshall. And a lot of people have been saying, this is no disrespect to Jerome.
It was said in the press conference.
Yeah, a lot of people sort of say that Jerome Luai is the guy that's changed the culture and is the guy that everyone looks to. No, everyone looks to Benji Marshall,
so
and that's obvious.
Benji, in that press conference where he was speaking after Jerome spoke, they actually said to him, are you worried because Jerome brought all these players to your club? Are you worried they're now going to go? And Benji's reaction was that, what, did they? So I think he took a little bit of an umbrage at that story that it's all because of Jerome that we've got these players. And the one thing I do want to mention about Buller, and what I think Jerome leaving did is it made Buller even more important to our team because he's the one with the flair. He's the one with the creativity. That's what Luai brings to our side. If you don't have Luai, where does that creativity and that kind of flair that we have and that X factor in our team come from if you don't have Jerome Buller?
Benji drives the standard, Steve, as you said, but he's got 2 blokes in Appy Coruscant and Jerome Luai and a few other leaders that actually implement those standards, in the training on the field. Like Benji can only do so much. So again, I'm not going to undersell what Jerome Luai has done or Appy Coruscant or any of those leaders, but Benji can't do it all on his own. And at the moment, it seems like he's just about doing everything on his own, on the field, off the field, coaching, helping re-sign players. He's the most important man in our club.
So part of that transition of Luai going out of our club, I was talking to Steve about it through the week, and I think he's an outstanding leader. But I also think he's the type of leader that he's outstanding for whoever. Like he was an outstanding leader at Penrith, and he was team first at Penrith. He was team first here, and there's been lots of question marks around, well, how can you say you're team first and then leave? I think he's team first to whoever's paying his wage. That's the type of leader he is. And you see it in businesses all the time. You'll bring a guy in who drives that culture for you and changes that culture in your club. But they can go somewhere else and do that. And I think that's what Jerome has done at our club.
His job's not finished.
But the biggest part of that for me now is we need to get him mentoring someone else because he's only here for another 18 months. And we're talking about how long 18 months is. We need someone else in our club who can. Appy's only got a couple of years left as well.
Who are the next couple of captains at our club?
I think that's what we've got to work out, and we've got to get that mentorship around what Jerome's providing for our club, what Appy's providing for our club, and that needs to be instilled in someone else. That needs to be instilled in someone else at our club. And it could be a guy like Taruva, but there's question marks, people worried about Taruva following him. That leadership role in our club is really crucial. It's what Benji can't do it himself, but we need to be planning for that, what we're going to be doing around that in 2028, and I think that's really crucial.
I don't know who the next captain is of our club, but I can tell you who will be in 4 or 5 years, and you just mentioned his family a few minutes ago, Jared Hayward. Give him 4 or 5 years, he's got captaincy written all over him.
His family, I spoke to his dad for probably 45 minutes out at Lidcombe Oval last week.
Poor bugger.
Well,
no, not him, not you.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying, but he did most of the talking. So
that's a change.
But there's a really great family behind him from the small interaction I had with them. I can see why the club has so much faith in him. We spoke about the pre-season video, and I was talking to his dad about how much faith the club must have in him because he was the focus of the first episode of that pre-season video. So the club obviously has a really high opinion of him moving forward. So I can definitely see how those young guys coming through, him being earmarked as a leader. And he shows that playing in the flag side. He's a leader of that flag side that he plays in. He's an outstanding footballer.
He got a lot of airtime in that pre-season doc. I don't know if that was the club just putting him out there, but that surprised me for a young guy to expose him.
I think it's really that belief the club has in him and starting to build him on that journey towards being a leader in our club. And some leaders are born, but you need mentoring. You need assistance in developing that. And that's what we've got to focus on at our club over the next 18 months because we're probably a little bit short there.
There's also
after those guys leave.
There's also money, like we're just giving away Jerome Luai's. We've got Jerome Luai's money, so yeah, we do want to build from within. Of course, we want to build from within, but we're going to be in a position to be able to go to market and bring a couple of good to elite players into our club as well.
There might be a chance, surely, that we look at finding some journeyman hooker before June 30.
That's our biggest area of weakness for me is that backup hooker spot. I would like someone else because we've spoken many times. Appy's a lot fitter this year. He's coping with playing 80 minutes a lot better than he did last year. But I don't want him playing 80 minutes. But at this point, with what the options we have on the bench, he really needs to be playing 80 minutes most weeks.
Yeah, well, this 3 weeks is going to be helpful to him. Really.
And we laughed at Adel last week saying putting Sione out there. But Sione probably provides just as much as our backup hookers. That's why he's done it a number of times this year, is to give Appy a rest at the end of a game. He shores up the middle. He's very strong defensively. I wouldn't want to be playing him there for big chunks of a game, but that's why he's been getting out on the field to relieve Appy a little bit.
I didn't laugh at you, Coach, by the way. That was the boys. I would never laugh at you. Just one thing that piqued my interest that you said, I don't know if you were insinuating it, but you said Benji's practically doing everything. And recruitment's been so good at this club, but that was when Shane Richardson was there. And he was, you said, the best negotiator in the game. Sean's got his hands full now. Is there potential there for maybe general manager of football or something to come in now that Richo's there, or someone to help Benji Marshall so he's not doing coaching, recruiting, everything, and he just ends up completely burnt out?
Richo was a jack of all trades, so he wanted to save money on a lot of those aspects and do a lot of it himself, and he's very good at doing that. But I think the tandem of Benji and Richo was just second to none. Like, you've got the most charismatic coach that everyone wants to play for with one of the best negotiators. It was a perfect team. And the good thing is Sean's learned a lot from Shane Richardson. So I don't think we're losing anything there, but I just feel like it's not affecting our team, but Benji just needs to worry about the coaching. And he would have had to have been dragged into negotiations with Buller, with the May brothers. Am I able to pay him this much money? Is this right? Because they've got a template of how much they want to pay each player, and we don't want to be paying too many players overs. But we might have touched on it earlier, but we mentioned that this is good for Latu Fane, who's staying, in terms of in a couple of years from now, which that helps us keep Sam Weller and Sione if they all want to stay at the same club and be a family. And I know the boys I think they recently purchased a house somewhere in Guildford or Marylands or something like that, and they bought it off someone who's a friend of the show and a West Tigers supporter, and they have told that person they are so indebted to the West Tigers and they feel a sense of loyalty from the club. So I don't think it's going to be too hard to want to keep the Fainus at our club. So we've really got the nucleus of a very good team for a long time. We're going to have to replace Appy in a couple of years. That's irreplaceable. But I think Jared will be ready by then.
I think Appy's at the age where that transition to Hayward, and Hayward's at the age where I think it just combines perfectly. I think that'll be a really good transition.
I think you'll get a good player replacing Appy.
Yeah.
I don't know that you'll get the spiritual leader.
No, you don't.
That's the vacuum, right?
That's why I think it needs to be mentored or found elsewhere. Terrell may be someone that you need to build some leadership skills into. I don't know if he's ready for that. But
I'm sure I heard, I might be wrong here, but I'm sure I heard someone talking about Sam Weller having some really, really strong leadership qualities, and he's a possible, if not captain, definitely in that leadership.
He shows
group.
it on the field, with his actions, everything he does. He's involved in everything.
And I do, before we finish, want to touch on that recruitment role that you're speaking about. I think where we don't have Richo now, I think we're broadening that base a little bit, so it's not just two people responsible for it. I don't think Shannon Gallant gets the probably recognition that he deserves for the job that he's doing. He's doing a large role in that recruitment and that identification space, not just of junior players, but of NRL players as well. We've also recently promoted Pat Richards into a manager of football role. Now, I don't know what that role entails exactly. I don't know how involved he is in that side of it, whether it's just your general footy manager person that you have, or he's more of a in that recruitment space as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I just think we're broadening that base a little bit.
But it seems too we're not overly spending on that staff, because now Bronson Harrison is not only looking after Balmain, he's looking after the west side of things as well. So he's got to basically cover double the area, actually more, with all the teams that are out in the southwest. So look, I think, just to change the subject a bit, boys, we've played half the teams in the comp. We're 5-3. All our fans would have been happy with that at the start of the year. We're in the fight. We can't let a good season.
Are you telling Eddie to cheer up?
Well, I'm not even going to put words in Eddie's mouth.
I haven't been.
But I reckon Eddie hasn't got. Eddie hasn't got us. He's got us as Buckleys are making the 8 and probably not in the top 10 or 12 right now, given the injuries.
I didn't say
Only
that.
because of the injury. Are you thinking that though?
I talked about the injuries today.
But do you think where do we finish right now as the round has finished?
I always talk about it from a mathematical viewpoint, and I'm the bookmakers. I'm saying right now,
I don't care about
at the
bookmakers.
moment,
I care about Eddie Otto. I love Eddie Otto. I
think,
love the bookmakers.
I think we'll be in a dogfight to make the 8 in those last couple of rounds, and that's a great
good
result.
Answer.
That's
good
a great
answer.
result.
Good answer.
Well,
you need to save a little bit of this, because apparently Mr. and Mrs. Tavana have just arrived outside the
you know what I'm looking forward to? Tuesday's preview, because I want him to watch that replay and see if he's as strong, not on Tavana, but on the fact our forwards were great today.
He
I didn't
didn't
think
do
they
it
were
on purpose, guys. He just had a shit game.
We're not going there.
If the Tavanas are out there, Eddie won't be the only
Yeah,
one.
but you guys want to put the line speed and the territory and everything
Rob,
on the rest of the team. Give it a break.
How about we give a shout out firstly to Daniel here at Mic'd Up for being back here on a Sunday, and to our viewers, Rob, because I was jokingly saying I hope no one watched tonight because I got a black eye and we got beat by 50, but the fact we pride ourselves on trying to be consistent and turning up every week. We've added a couple of new shows, a Hero Roar and the West Tigers Faithful Boys, so we'll be doing it all again this week and for the rest of the season, win or lose.
Thanks to Daniel, and obviously we had some hiccups last week. We weren't in our rightful home due to a family illness in Daniel's family, but he knows how much we love him, and we speak to each other almost every day. And
this place is sensational out here.
This is sensational, but I'm going to thank you boys as well, because we're doing this for love, and we're still looking for some sponsorship, like some decent sponsorship to pay for all this. But I appreciate you boys, and there's been times I can't be here or Steve can't be.
When do I get a rest? I'm here all the time.
You were
rested
here
on
for 3
Tuesday.
You had
months.
all the off season.
Did you try and you tried to get yourself sacked today by
wasn't
doing
easy.
35
You're just
minutes.
fishing. That was easy. I got 3 of them all the time. All right, well, thank you, West Tigers fans. Not the day we were looking for, but it's on again next week. We will see you Tuesday back in the studio for Claws Out.